So today I'm gonna be presenting the Icelandic local hazard case study. I am not pronouncing that. Uh, in this presentation, you might see it written as Volcano, but I think AQA call it the Icelandic volcano. So this is in AQA A-level geography in the hazards topic. So in the specification, it directly says that you need to know a case study at a local scale of a specified place in a hazardous setting. And this is definitely a very hazardous setting, so we got it. Okay, so some features. It has a VEI of 4 or I don't know if it's Volcano Explosivity Index or just Volcanic Explosivity Index. Whatever the case, basically the same thing. And I think the range was 0 to 8. So this is halfway. Happened in March, April time in 2010. So right when it was the Easter holidays. The volcano was ice capped. Water from ice cap and magma mixed with silica to form fine glassy ash. This formed as a ash cloud that blew over south and east over Europe. Meltwater flowed down to the sea, destroying sections of the main highway on south of Iceland, led to flooding in southern Iceland, and prompted 700 people to evacuate the area. Iceland lies on the mid-Atlantic ridge boundary between Eurasian and North American tectonic plates. Located on a hotspot in the Earth's mantle, located underneath a large ice sheet in southeast Iceland. Some primary hazards was tephra fall. Iceland managed this through educating people on the risks, including tourists, even if the tourists are less likely to know what to do when disaster strikes compared to locals. In Iceland, they have a thicker vegetation cover, which reduced the severity of tephra dust storms, but also larger vegetation are more likely to survive, as seen by rapid recovery of birch forest near the volcano. This volcano produced various joel collapse, don't know, glacial mega floods following a subglacial volcanic eruption. On the north side, the discharge of these reached 104 meters cubed per second. Some responses were that scientists told farmers not to allow farm animals to eat grass and drink water supplies because it was contaminated with fluoride, which can poison animals. This fluoride came from the volcanic ash. Primary impacts were that thousands of local people needed to evacuate out of the danger zone. Communication of transport infrastructure were disrupted, limiting access for local people traveling to the capital city. It costed the country $16 million to reconstruct, and homes in the south were destroyed. I just pressed the arrow and it worked. No way. Okay, sorry. Okay, secondary impacts and responses. So the secondary impacts were that growing seasons in Iceland were short, so a whole year's worth of crops were damaged, resulting in food shortages, particularly crops to feed animals through the long winter. Secondary responses was compensation to stranded travelers, new regulations for volcanic ash in terms of flying aircrafts, and the Future Volc project set up in 2012 to interrogate European volcanic monitoring. Some international and social impacts. Maybe the social impacts are the other side. I swear I had them in here. Anyways, the international impacts were the aircrafts could not fly out of fear of damaging their jet engines. 48% of air traffic was grounded for 8 days. Companies following GIT strategies, which if you remember I mentioned in the Apple case study, affected by lack of imported parts and raw materials, e.g. the Nissan car assembly in the UK. Fresh produce couldn't be imported to Northern Europe, affecting supermarkets and producers worldwide. Lack of products from Kenya, who lost £2.8 billion because of grounded flights to Europe, and other African nations exporting perishables. Their economies rely on these international trades. Total losses for airplane companies and airports were around $1.7 billion. Over 300 airports in 24 countries were closed down. Here you go, social impacts. 24% of people who were affected by the volcano through damage to property, loss of livestock and income, experienced stress-related mental health difficulties. 10 million people worldwide struggled to make their way back home as a result of air travel being paused. Schools were disrupted because this happened at the very end of Easter holidays. And some of the environmental impacts, the mass grounding of European flights prevented the emission of 2.8 billion kilograms of carbon dioxide, which is crazy. Okay, here are some past exam questions. I fit them all onto one screen. What is it called? Figure 14 and 15 are going to be here. Okay, thank you.